So this is how the Buddha describes himself in chapter 3 of the Lotus Sutra, having told of the parable of the burning house. He talks about himself as the Tathagata, the Father of all worlds, who has forever entirely ended all his fear, dependency, distress, ignorance, and darkness, and has perfected his boundless knowledge, powers, and fearlessness, is possessed of spiritual power and wisdom, has completely attained the paramitas of tactfulness and wisdom, who is the great merciful and greatly compassionate, ever tireless, ever seeking the good and benefiting all beings. And he is born in this triple world, the old decaying burning house, to save living creatures from the fires of birth, old age, disease, death, grief, suffering, foolishness, darkness, and the three poisons, and teach them to obtain perfect enlightenment. He sees how all living creatures are scorched by the fires of birth, old age, disease, death, grief, and sorrow, and suffer various kinds of distress by reason of the five desires and the greed for gain, and how, by reason of the attachments of desire and its pursuits, and how they now endure much suffering. Absorbed in these things, living creatures rejoice and take their pleasure, while they neither apprehend nor perceive, are neither alarmed nor fear, never seeking to escape, but in the burning house of this triple world, running about hither and thither, and although they will meet with great suffering, count it not a cause for anxiety. The Buddha, having seen this, then reflects thus: I am the Father of all creatures, and I must snatch them from suffering, and give them the bliss of the infinite, boundless Buddha wisdom for them to play with. The Tathagata again reflects thus: If I only use spiritual power and wisdom, casting aside every tactful method, and extol for the sake of all living creatures the wisdom, powers, and fearlessness of the Tathagata, living creatures cannot by this method be saved. Wherefore, as long as all these creatures have never escaped birth, old age, disease, death, grief, and suffering, but are being burned in the burning house of the triple world, how can they understand the Buddha wisdom? So the Tathagata, though he has power and fearlessness, he does not use them, but only by his wise tact does he remove and save all living creatures from the burning house of the triple world. All of you, do not delight to dwell in the burning house of the triple world. Do not hanker after its crude forms, sounds, odors, flavors, and contacts. For if, through hankering, you beget a love of it, then you will be burned by it. Get you out of the triple world. I now give you my pledge for this, and it will never prove false. Do you only now be diligent and zealous. By these tactful means does the Tathagata lure all creatures forth, and again speaks thus: You will be free and independent without wanting to rely on anything else. If there are living beings who, following the Buddha, the world-honored one, hear the law, receive it in faith, diligently practice, and zealously advance, seeking the complete wisdom, the wisdom of the Buddha, the natural wisdom, the wisdom without a teacher, and the knowledge, powers, and fearlessness of the Tathagata, who take pity on and comfort innumerable creatures, benefit men and women, and save all beings, these will have the vehicle named the Great Vehicle. Because the Bodhisattvas seek this vehicle, they are named Mahasattvas, or great beings. Just as the elder, seeing his children get out of the burning house safely to a place free from fear, and pondering on his immeasurable wealth, gives each of the children a great cart, so also is it with the Tathagata. Being the Father of all living creatures, he reflects thus: I possess infinite, boundless wisdom, power, fearlessness, and other law treasures of Buddhas. All these living creatures are my sons and daughters, to whom I will equally give the great vehicle, so that all gain nirvana by the same nirvana as the Tathagata. All these living creatures who escape the triple world are given the playthings of Buddhas, concentrations, emancipations, and others, all of one form and one kind, praised by sages and able to produce pure, supreme pleasure.